Now, Caitlin Clark's politics does not align with the politics of many of her own fans. We don't care. We don't. All right? We don't. We want to watch her go out, play basketball, and throttle the shit out of everybody. All right? But the activist basketball players in the league hate her fan base. Look, they hated Iowa's fan base.
Even Netflix couldn't have imagined the WNBA's recent plot twist. Compared to Caitlin Clark, Natasha Cloud receives more votes for All-Star. This smacks of mystery, prejudice, and perhaps a dash of hallucination, so maybe someone should call Scooby-Doo. Was the voting process tampered with by aliens? Is there a covert anti-Clark organization? We're going to delve deeply into the chaos, the insanity, and the masterclass in pettiness that recently revealed the WNBA's not-so-secret agenda. So grab some popcorn. Let the mayhem start.
I have the exclusive list of the WNBA All-Star
Yes.
Okay.
I voted, so I feel like I
You think you have a good
Yeah.
indication. I am the only one, by the way, that has seen this list.
Yeah. Whoa.
We already announced on WNBA Countdown that Caitlin Clark and Nafisa Collier are the captains, meaning they got the most fan votes, meaning they're going to draft their team on July 8th on WNBA Countdown on
Congratulations
ESPN.
to them, by the way.
8th among point guards, by the way. 9th as opposed to 8th, 7th, or 9th. Caitlin Clark is listed there in the WNBA's fantasy camp rankings. To be honest, it would be an understatement to say that it is hate at this point. It's more than just shade. They are using it to construct an entire skyscraper. You could spread the jealousy on toast since it is so thick. For players who are still upset over selling out half the arena, while Clark sells out, it's more of a group therapy session than a rating.
I've said this again and again. Caitlin Clark is must-see TV. Caitlin Clark already is having Michael Jordan effect on the WNBA. The same effect Michael Jordan had in his first couple of years in the NBA. He was can't miss TV. Every place he went, people went crazier and crazier for Air Jordan.
Let's face it, the WNBA committee would still give Caitlin a participation ribbon and designate her the most successful player, even if she averaged a triple-double while levitating prone to take in air when playing. Since grit evidently now surpasses talent, players whose greatest stat is the number of elbows they have thrown in traffic are ranked higher. This is the sporting equivalent of Mean Girls, but instead of Regina George, we have a modest superstar who is merely attempting to hoop as everyone else smiles and tries to trip her.
Caitlin Clark, a.k.a. White Jesus, a.k.a. Jesus Clark, a.k.a. Captain Clark, is a two-time WNBA All-Star and has been announced as the WNBA captain. Speaking of WNBA All-Stars, these women hate Caitlin Clark. White Jesus Captain Clark. These women in these league, or whatever they go by, whatever their pronouns are, hate white.
You can sense it as well. Clark is not causing the weariness. The rest of the league has to act as though she isn't the sole one preventing the WNBA from being reduced to a trivia question. They're worn out from the mental acrobatics needed to perform, not from playing. Act as though she isn't the primary attraction. These days, they are more than simply basketball players. They play in the We Were Always This relevant storyline full-time. Give them an Oscar already, please.
At forward, an all-star shoe-in, a league MVP. Asia Wilson, a league MVP who always brings the heat. Congratulations to Asia Wilson.
She brings the heat. Bam!
No surprise here. All right.
Now, see, y'all. Okay.
Yeah. You see what we're doing here?
I get it. Okay.
You ready? 1 point for Drea. At guard, a three-time All-Star whose career numbers are making her team a threat to win a title.
Bro, you're so bad at this. You guys know it takes me a while to compute.
Alicia Gray, congratulations.
Let's now discuss the complete farce of Caitlin being rated by point guards who are hardly searchable on Google. You've got a problem if it takes 3 Wikipedia rabbit holes and a scavenger quest to determine who is ranked higher than her. The NBA commissioner needs to go all Thanos at this point. Dismantle the WNBA and start over with a brand new league. One where marketability isn't viewed as a crime, where success isn't penalized with ice, and where merit truly matters. Bath of side eyes and silent treatment. Establish the Caitlin Clark Basketball Association, CCBA, as the current one is obviously allergic to advancement. The WNBA is adamant about wanting respect, fans, media attention, and money. They react as if she had keyed their car as Caitlin hands them all four wrapped in gold foil and holding a bow. It would be the needy ex who cries out for attention and then blocks your number the instant you respond if this league were a relationship. It's amusing, tragic, and perplexing. Largely amusing as the inadvertent comedy is so hilarious.
Caitlin Clark was named All-Star Captain. Why didn't they just make the whole WNBA captain and say everyone is an All-Star captain? Yo, she's never going to live that down. Wow. Woo. Jesus. How Clark make it with mediocre stats and an 8-8 record? I get making the team captain, but captain? LOL. Collier deserve it, though. She been killing. CC, most overrated player of all time. All sports combined. Clark shoots under 40%, by the way. This one says, I hope none of the players show up to the WNBA All-Star game in protest, to be honest.
You may hear a player rating change out of pure resentment each time she scores. A clipboard is shattered in half someplace after she makes a three. Someone calls their therapist after she signs a footwear contract. This is vacuum-sealed, industrial-grade jealousy with Wi-Fi. The type that stays up late scrolling through despair, Caitlin mutters, but she's not that good, as she highlights. For the sole purpose of sleeping at night, it creates burner accounts and ranks her 8th. Together, they would rather lose than triumph behind her. That isn't being loyal to the league. In footwear, it's sabotage. The frightening thing comes next. She is still standing and continuing to fall, while the rest of the league plays dodgeball. Dime continues to play chess. However, how long? Because she's consuming a lot of full combat layups and uncalled cheap shots every night. It feels more like a gladiatorial performance than a basketball season. Caitlin could have to switch to a suit of armor if this continues. She might then receive a foul call.
How?
How do you feel about the WNBA players bashing Caitlin Clark?
Okay, so I'm going to state some facts here and not opinions because this is a controversial topic for some crazy reason. The WNBA is a subsidized league. What it means subsidized means is that the NBA basically gives their money so the WNBA could exist because the WNBA does not produce any revenue.
They lose money, actually.
They lose money. Okay, so Caitlin Clark, a generational women's basketball player, finally comes around where people are like, oh my God, this girl is amazing. She gets drafted. She's putting up crazy numbers. She's entertaining. Tickets.
Makes you wonder whether she ought to quit the WNBA and board the first flight to Europe. Imagine her living her best life in Spain or Italy, sipping espresso on the bench and draining threes, while the WNBA is you're unfamiliar with it. Attempt to encourage the player's gritty intensity in the meantime. Instead of trying to force her into retirement, Europe is honoring her with parades and sculptures. Ironic, isn't that right? Despite the WNBA's stated goal of advancing the sport, they began uprooting weeds bearing Caitlin Clark's name after she nourished the ground and allowed it to flourish. It's similar like planting a tree and then seeing it bear fruit. Additionally, that fruit, ticket sales, media coverage, ratings, merchandising, and the first-time attendance of entire demographics. However, let's continue to act as though the league's pulse is not spelled C-L-A-R-K. The league has essentially constructed a Hunger Games arena specifically for her since they are so afraid of her strength. But it's seasoned leadership and earning your stripes in place of arrows and swords. Translation: here's some elbows and no respect because we don't like that you're younger and better than us. Hazing is no longer practiced. It's career sabotage masquerading as custom. Not only is this ranking bullshit offensive, it destroys itself. These
people, and by people I'm talking about these players, in this basketball league, and I'm talking about the WNBA, when they tell you who they are, believe them. How many times have you heard me say over the last 19 or 20 months that this is an activist basketball league. All right? There's going to be subscribers that watch this video. They're going to be upset because, oh my God, I brought up politics. Unfortunately, this is, I've said, this is all about politics, and it has been.
You are not safeguarding the league when your top player is ranked beneath 8 less productive players. The foundation is being set on fire by you. What are supporters expected to believe? That your top 5 doesn't include the best player. That proficiency poses a risk. They're showing there for a single purpose, and that purpose isn't to watch a point guard who is objectively bearing the whole financial burden of the WNBA put on a 9th-ranked performance. Passive-aggressive politics was not the reason they purchased season tickets. Simply put, they came for Caitlin. The kicker is this, though. This league is not necessary for Caitlin. This league was her choice. And in response, they have been treating her as though she entered through the back door. The sheer number of poor choices that can be made in such a short period of time is almost astounding. This is no longer gatekeeping. Because a newcomer moved in with finer furniture, the entire neighborhood is on fire. What comes next? Do we continue acting as though the rankings have any significance? Do we keep pretending that being 10th is admirable when it's actually a covert protest vote? Or do we finally see that the league is only humbling themselves in their obsession with making Caitlin look bad?
Caitlin Clark had another, whatever you want to call it, confrontation in a WNBA game. Like, why is this happening? The Caitlin Clark phenomenon is one that I got wrong. I never really thought that Caitlin Clark would make the difference that she has in college basketball or in the WNBA. What other sports analogies are out there that are in any way similar to the impact that one individual has had on a larger sporting universe?
Because she won't be around long enough for them to understand what they lost unless something changes quickly. If Europe doesn't approach, the NBA may. She is currently receiving more recognition from the men's league than from her own. They are exposed by that rating, not Caitlin. That's precisely what will occur. In actuality, fever. At a knife battle, supporters brought their own homemade scissors. Choosing to vote for someone else on that all-star ballot was akin to preparing for your own heist. Caitlin has been receiving side-eye from these other players as if she showed up at their family gathering without being invited. Nevertheless, they received votes from her own fan base in the form of party favors. It's not an election, let's face it. This was a matter of survival. Either you voted for Clark or you voted to continue the absurdity. The folks who would most like to see Caitlin lose her ankle and leave the league gained more power as a result of every well-rounded vote that wasn't in her favor.
Brings all this money to the league. Also, she turned down a contract in the Big Three, making millions of dollars to go make $75,000 a year in the WNBA.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you go on ESPN and all these things, and all these her peers in the WNBA are trashing her and demeaning her, saying, "Oh, why is she getting all this attention? She's better than you." Like, I don't understand why facts and opinion. This is not an opinion. Caitlin Clark's putting up better numbers than you guys ever did, and she's bringing the league attention, which is great for all the women coming up in the world that want to play basketball, that want to have a life and create a life for themselves by being a professional athlete, because women deserve that. So now you're going to turn around and you're going to try to beat her up on the court, and you're going to try to trash her on social media, and you're going to try to trash her on live TV. Come on. You guys need to do a little bit better.
She is super entertaining to watch, I'll tell you.
Some fans, meanwhile, were out here casting ballots as if they were on prom court. Adorable, innocent, and disastrous. In a league where your star is treated like a legless piñata, you cannot play nice. Her teammates treat her as if she were the strange Iowa exchange student who dared to take center stage. This isn't middle school football, sorry. The WNBA is it. In a way. The best thing is that when the media asks if they admire Clark's game, the same players who received fan votes as a result of her fame are ready to shrug and ice her ankles. For the record, they don't. They will accept the attention, bonus checks, and votes while remaining silent, saying she is overrated behind her back. They desire the limelight without the glare. Without the paparazzi, they want their paycheck. They will be happy to utilize Clark's rocket fuel to get there, but as soon as she burns too bright, they will abandon her. Fans of Fever awaken. The fan base that is the most supportive does not receive a participation.
Best goals.
Being elegant isn't the point here. Protecting the one member who gives your team national significance is the goal here. You don't see Aces supporters giving their opponents sympathy votes. When did the rookie who drives the ratings become the official spokeswoman for the players who despise her but adore her salary? She didn't sign up to be the WNBA's Martin Luther King Jr. She wasn't come to settle your labor conflicts. She was here to hoop. Avoid tripping her throughout the march after throwing her into your altercation. Imagine having half the league ignore you. Abused on national television, treated disrespectfully by veterans, and then asked, "Hey girl, can you also help us fight for better wages?" The level of audacity is Olympic. They do not want her at the top of the rankings, but they do want her at the negotiation table. Her name should be on the agenda, but not on the list of MVPs. Instead of her win, they want her voice. Leeches are being given with attitude.
She was ranked first by the fans, which makes sense. She was ranked number 3 by the media, which kind of makes sense. Anywhere between the 1, 2, or 3rd, that's fine. And then she was ranked 9th by the players. And it's just so funny. 9th rated player for a guard, but first in schemes, first in being face guard, first in being guarded 90 feet, first in blitzes, the most schemed basketball player in the WNBA, but somehow she is ranked number 9 for best guards in the WNBA. It's laughable.
Let's be really clear about it. These ladies owe Clark nothing. Considering that half of them would prefer that she sit on the floor, she would not receive a vote, a favor, or a place at her table. This league has taken every possible step to prevent her fame from being used. Nevertheless, they want her to fight for league change and unite the locker room. Please remember that the game being played on and off the court is the only one that counts. It's also blatantly absurd, shady, and political. Thus, there is just one rule going forward. Cast your ballot for Clark. That's all. Mercy ballots are not available. No, but I enjoy her deviations as well. Vote as like the dignity of your team depended on it, because it does. Each additional vote is a pointless endeavor, a favor given to players who don't reciprocate. Do you believe that they are casting their ballots for Clark out of appreciation? It's likely that they are still debating whether or not she should have been drafted until the second. Feeding a bear and wondering why it ate your tent is similar to that. These players are not looking for your goodwill. Your platform is what they want. They want to pretend that it's a team effort and support themselves on Caitlyn's back. Not at all, spoiler alert. Additionally, those same players will be the first to forget who brought them there after the all-star spotlight fades and the checks clear. There is no gratitude and only one side of respect. The votes, they must represent reality rather than charity. So, FIBA supporters, keep in mind that this isn't a group embrace the next time you hold that ballot. It's a conflict, and your general is being attacked like a footnote while taking damage and representing the league. Cast your vote appropriately. Forget about teamwork. Ignore unity. Cast your vote for the player who is truly performing at a high level while being attacked by those who are taking advantage of her. Give them no more free publicity. When there is obviously no loyalty in this league, stop acting as though there is. Cast your ballot for Clark. Just Clark and nothing else, since the others have already made their decision.
Jesus, the league and these women in this league has shown white Jesus that they don't like her. That they don't like her, okay? A lot of hating going on in this league. A lot of hating going on in this league, okay? Nalissa Smith has humped her way right to Vegas. All right? Sweep, sweep, sweepity, sweepity, sweep. It's been a few sweeps that didn't happen today across the league.